Greetings all and welcome to Daily Pali Reading. Today we are continuing our reading in the 8th chapter of the Udana, the first sutta. Tena ko pana samayena bhagava bhikkhu Nibbāna pati sangyutaya dhammya kataya sandaseti samadapeti samutejeti sampahangseti. On this occasion, the Blessed One is teaching, is rousing, is exciting, is gladdening his monks with a Dharma talk connected with Nibbāna. Tena kopana samayena. Tena samayena is an instrumental use of time. And it's the same word, samayena and samayang. I think we can capture this well by saying on this occasion. So tena is the demonstrative pronoun, this time, this occasion, on this occasion. Now ko pana we might take literally as indeed. Ko would be indeed, and pana can mean again. Usually ko pana, we're probably just understanding this as then, on this occasion. Bhagava, the Blessed One, the nominative singular from Bhagavant. Now we're going to jump over to the verb, or in this case, the verbs. We have 4 verbs, and you'll notice that they all have this characteristic ati ending here. Now this is the characteristic feature of causative verbs. It's also the characteristic feature of what Duracell calls the 7th conjugation, verbal class. I don't think everyone numbers their verbal classes the same way. So these wouldn't have to be causative verbs. And a note about causative verbs too, a causative verb technically comes from a different verb. So let's look at our first verb here, sandaseti. Sandaseti comes from sandicity, which means to be engaged with. Now the causative means to teach or instruct. There might be a way that we can get from to cause to be engaged with to instruct. But I think sometimes with causative verbs, you just simply have to learn the meaning. Sometimes it's very obvious that the connection between the uncausative form and the causative, but that isn't always the case. So it's when you look these up, the causative is often given, and just to make the meaning clear. So we have to instruct, we have samadapeti, to cause to take, to incite, to rouse. Samutejeti, to excite, to gladden, to fill with enthusiasm. And then sampahangseti, which is to gladden. There's obviously some overlap between some of these verbs, and we just have to kind of pick accordingly. One thing I like about these verbs, and we came across this with adjectives in the discussing the metta sahagatena cetasa, there's no connecting and or anything like that. We just have these 4 verbs sort of slammed up against one another, if you will. Also should mention these verbs are all present, active, indicative, third person singular. And now we'll look for an object. All these verbs are transitive verbs, meaning they take an object. And our object here is bhikkhu. It may not at first appear like that would be the object, but we have to be a little attentive. This isn't bhikkhu, but it's bhikkhu. Bhikkhu, with a short u ending, is the nominative singular of bhikkhu, but with the long u can be the accusative plural, masculine accusative plural. Then we have Nibbāna pati sangyutaya dhammya kataya. So we've accounted for a subject, verb, and object, and now we have these other words. We can go to kataya. That is a noun. Kata, I think we came across in Vachagota as well. Kata means talk, maybe speech. And because it is this feminine a ending type of noun, we don't know, seeing aya, whether it's genitive, dative, instrumental, ablative, or even locative. So with that being the case, we just have to think about what is the function of this in the sentence. And even if we just look at the first verb we have, to instruct, that the Buddha is instructing, or sandaseti, or probably instructing with, exciting, gladdening with. So that would be instrumental. So that's one way to think through this. You could try other cases and see if you think that he's exciting or instructing from a speech or due to a speech. But I think the instrumental makes a lot of sense here. So we have kataya as instrumental, and then we have this word dhammiya. Now dhammiya is clearly from the word dhamma, dharma. And if you look up this word, this exact word exists. It's an adjective meaning pertaining to the dharma or the dhamma. But that actually isn't the word we have here. If we had dhammiya kata, then that would work. But dhammiya needs to be in the instrumental case as well. And dhammiya would not have this form if it were in the instrumental, if it's that word. So if you dig a little deeper, you'll see there actually is a word dhammi, meaning just kind of an adjective meaning dharmic. And being an I, being a noun that ends in an I, an I, then it has iya as its instrumental. So we have with a dharmic talk. And really, we use that expression in English, with a dharma talk. And then lastly, the longest word, Nibbāna patisangutaya. This compound is it breaks up into two parts, Nibbāna and patisangutaya. Patisangutaya is the past participle of patisangyujati, connected with, coupled, belonging to. And so this whole thing would be a tapurisa compound connected with Nibbāna or Nirvana, or pertaining to. A dharma talk pertaining to Nirvana. This is where we will leave things today. Peace, everyone.